6.1. For chapter 6, right now we're going to be talking about exponents. First piece, what does it mean to be an exponent? Something to the something power. When we're talking about exponents, we're going to say a is a real number. If I have n as a natural number, then a to the nth power means a times a times a times a times a, n amount of times. If I had 3 to the 5th, actually I'll go 3 to the 4th. That means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. What's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, and 27 times 3, 81. Now the one thing, if a is non-zero, then a to the 0 is 1. Let me explain that aspect. What's 10 to the first power? 10. What's 10 squared? 100. 10 times 10 is 100. 10 cubed is 1,000. What's really happening here? I have a 1 with that many zeros. 1, 1, 0. A 1, 2, 0. 1, 3 zeros. 10 to the 0, how many zeros do I have? None. I just have 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Nice thing about exponents, if this was a 20, what's 20 to the first power? 20. 20 squared. 20 squared, get rid of the 0. What's 2 squared? 4. And I need 2 zeros. If this was 20 cubed, what's 2 times 2 times 2? 8. With 3 zeros. 2 to the third power is one of the most missed exponents. It is not 6. If I wanted to say 2 times 3, I would have wrote 2 times 3. 2 to the third means 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Another one that's missed a lot, what's 5 squared? 25, it's not 10. It's a common mistake. With exponents, you need to take your time and not rush. When you rush, something easy as 2 cubed, you write 6. 4 to the third, instead of writing 64, you write 12. You need to be careful. The one last piece, again, if we're talking about n being a natural number. Natural number are your counting numbers. A to the negative n is 1 over a to the n. What happens when I have a negative exponent? It's not a decimal, it becomes a fraction. What happens is if I have an exponent, if I have 5 to the negative second, what this really means is 1 over 5 squared. What's 5 squared? So my answer is 1 over 25. I know if I put it in the calculator, it will tell me a decimal, but we don't want the decimals. If I had 1 over 5 to the negative second, the negative exponent means I don't belong on the bottom, it belongs on the top of the fraction. So it really means 5 squared, which is 25. I just made the problem up. I have this problem here. I have 2z times 3x squared times 5z to the negative third. These are the types of problems we're going to be looking at. First thing you do is keep the coefficients together. Numbers that are out front stay out front together. So I have 2 times 3 times 5. What's 2 times 3? 6 times 5. 30. So I'm done with the coefficients. When we talk about the variables, we always talk about them alphabetically. What comes first? How many x's do I have? I just have this one here, and x squared goes right here. I also have a z here and a z negative 3. What is a negative 3 being? I don't subtract 3. Where does it belong? If it's on the top, it belongs on the bottom. The negative exponent means it belongs on the opposite side. Now we still have one more step of simplifying. I have 2 z's in this problem. Where are there more z's at? How many more on the bottom? All right, I'm going to break this apart and do a little side thing. I have z on top. What does z cubed really mean? Z times z times z. There's more z's on the bottom, correct? How many more? 2 more. If I think about simplifying, z divided by z simplifies out. Z over z means, or z times z is z squared. They simplify out. If I had 4 over 12, what do you do to simplify? Divide by 4. Divide by 4, divide by 4. To simplify it, divide by z, divide by z. Z divided by z is 1. There's not much work to do on these problems. If you live and die by the calculator, this is a section where you're really going to struggle, because the calculator, if I put this in, it actually gives me an answer. If I go and put 3x squared, then y, I can't see from back there, alpha y squared times negative 2x cubed y to negative 4th. Oh, it gives me an error. Oh, I know why. I can't divide by 0. It has 0 stored in for all these variables. So even if it could do it, it'd tell me an answer is 0. Adam. What's 3 times negative 2? Negative 6. Now when it comes to the variables, all right, alphabetical, x. How many x's do I have in the first one? 2. How many do I have in the next one? How many do I have total? If I had 2 apples here, I had 3 apples here, I have a total of x to the 5th. Here's another way to look at it. You know how we went and did this in 2 steps? Now look at the z's, or the y's. How many y's do I have there? I have 2 there, and I have negative 4 there. I really have negative 2, right? Where does the negative 2 belong? So I put over, whoops, over y squared. That's your answer. That's it. There's not. The hardest part is understanding the little steps. You could have went the other step in between and had negative 6x to the 5th y squared over y to the 4th, or y to, yeah, and then said where there's more at. You still get here. The only reason I showed you this is so you have a better understanding of where they're more at. Once you get comfortable with that, you can say, okay, I have a 2 and a negative 4. That's a negative 2. Negative 2 means on the bottom. First thing we're going to look at is the coefficients. There's my coefficients. I have a negative 1 and I have a negative 2. Can I do anything with negative 1 divided by 2? No. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to put negative 2 down there. Alphabetically, what's going to come first? Y. So we're looking at our y's. Where are there more y's? On the top. How many more on the top? 4. There's 7 on the top, 3 on the bottom, so there's 4 more on the top. Y to the 4th. Now I'm left with this z. Are there any other z's in this problem? So it stays where it was. And that is your answer. For this problem, looking at the coefficients, the only coefficient I have is negative 3. Negative 3 stays where it was. Alphabetically, what comes next? B's. Where are there more B's at? How many more? Now, someone came up with this idea. On the last one, we had to subtract them. Can we just subtract these ones? Or do we have to add them? We don't add them. You add when you go side to side. You subtract when you divide. But what's 2 minus 7? Negative 5. Where does a negative exponent tell me it belongs then? On the bottom. Alphabetically, now comes C's. Where are there more C's at? How many more on the top? 3. C cubed. 5 minus 2 is 3. Done with that. All I'm left with is lonely E. And there you go. Please put them alphabetical. I'm not going to mark it wrong if you have E B to the 5th. But it should be B to the 5th E. Later on, you're going to want them in alphabetical.